There's one thing I'm learning to come to terms with about myself lately, and that's that I definitely have a very low interest span. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be, and that's what I'm going to talk about. But it can also be a good thing in the sense that I don't really get overly obsessed with anything. I'm not the kind of person that, okay, if I try something today, I would never be able to leave it alone. So that might be a good thing in the sense of addiction. But in the sense of learning or sticking with something long enough to master it, that's where I know that I have like a hiccup in some sense or a problem. So in a way, I've learned to come to terms with it because I just feel like, okay, since it's happening already, just open yourself up and be open to whatever experiences come your way. Whether you try something today and it's interesting for today, and you try tomorrow and you don't really think about it the next day, it doesn't really matter, because that's basically what life is supposed to be. Life is supposed to be about you trying as much as possible to get the complete human experience, and getting the complete human experience doesn't really come from mastering just one thing. But I think I've spoken about something before when it comes to having side quests, and I think that side quest idea is more and more vivid or more and more useful to me now, when I realized that, okay, I think one of my biggest problems is the fact that I know that, okay, if I tried anything, I would probably do it long enough to love it and get good at it, but I wouldn't stick with it. The problem is sticking with it long enough to get good, to actually get good. So I think lately I'm just choosing to work, and I'm choosing to make sure that, okay, what am I like. I'm trying to define myself, like, who exactly am I? And I want to know that, okay, I am an artist. An artist is basically what I do. So the scope of that art that I'm going to become now is where the problem is. So I can be like an artist in the wider sense of, like, okay, I'm an artist that I create art. I create anything. Writing is art, music is art, or anything. And I can be an artist in the more narrow scope, where it's like I'm a digital artist, or I'm a visual artist, or I'm a painter or something. So I have to like fully define exactly what that is. So recently I've just been trying as much as possible to pick between everything, like, what exactly do I want to identify myself as. I'm trying my best to explore the full life experiences, whilst being able to define where I am and who I am. Like, if somebody asks you, what do you do for a living? I want to be able to say one thing. And then over time, as you get to know me, you realize that, okay, this person has like a multiple facets of things, or multiple facets that he's basically involved in, or is basically able to do. And like I said, most of the things that I've put out as advices really come to me when I think of stuff like this. I'm always thinking of, okay, if I want to procrastinate on doing something that I know I'm supposed to do, I probably should just do something else. As an example of one of the things that just takes my time, or sometimes I'll just take my listen and start writing, or sometimes I just want to take pictures, or sometimes I just want to take random videos or cinematic videos, or go out or something. I'm getting to an age where I probably wouldn't be able to change that character about myself. I probably wouldn't be able to become somebody else that just sits and does something for 50 hours straight, come back the next day and does it for 50 hours. Like, I'm not going to be that person, but I'm coming to terms with the fact that that's not who I am. And I'm trying as much as possible to find loopholes and ways to make advantages out of the fact that that is not who I am. I like that feeling of being able to show somebody different shades of myself. Yeah, guys, now I'm realizing I don't really want to just do a random rant about how much of a low interest span I have, or how I am unable to stick to one thing, or just not create as often as I want to. But I think I'm trying to find solutions, and like I said, as I go on with the process, I try as much as possible to document those solutions, not necessarily solutions, but like those trials that I have. And I think the most recent trial, the most recent solution that I brought up was that I just wanted to create I wanted to have art around me. I wanted to have creativity surround me in a sense. And that's one thing I noticed from just looking back in retrospect of how I've been working. And that's that most of the times I don't really see art around me. I open social media, and most of what I see is just maybe information about stuff that I don't really want to involve in my art. Maybe it's just about the world politics, maybe it's about like world news, general news, entertainment news. And then I open other parts of my pages and I'm seeing things that don't really push that creativity. Obviously it comes out sometimes once in a while, but I realized that I wasn't really getting enough of that creativity just to give me that step or a push to start creating as much as possible. So recently what I made as a decision was just to not stop consuming, because now I realize that consuming has always been part of what I just do. So I wouldn't want to like push that back. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that everything that I consumed was about creating. So I was consuming about creating whilst creating. When I wasn't creating, everything that I just looked at was about somebody talking about, whether it was fashion, whether it was music, whether it was art itself, whether it was writing. I just wanted to make sure that, whether it was interviews, whether it was just biographies of other creators, or just interviews of other creators, I just wanted to make sure that as much as possible, my whole mental frame was covered by creating. And I think looking at it for the past 1 week, or probably a little bit over a week, I've realized that okay, has actually been, in a sense, helping me to develop a mindset of creating. Whether it was just somebody else's creation just staying in my subconscious until I jumble it up with another person's creation, and it becomes this juxtaposition of ideas that now becomes my own personal idea. Or in some other cases, just something that will help me build consistency, like hearing somebody else's story and knowing that okay, even these people that have like this whole success in creation, or these people that have like this whole like mentorship and are able to create something that I really want to model, have the same problems that I have at this point. And so it's not really unique to me, and so the solutions are not necessarily unique to me either. So if I notice that these people have solutions as well, then I would also have those solutions. And then most of the things that take away my interest, like the random thing that I used to do that made me procrastinate doing the things that I needed to do, I still kept them around. I still kept them around in the sense that I just made them something that I did that made me a more well-rounded person, as opposed to just allowing those things take over my whole mindset or take over my whole day in a sense. So those were things that I just made sure that I did, but I did them at a time where I was free enough to not do anything. Maybe at a time when I was supposed to do something that was so random, then I would just take that time to do these things. And so I've been learning, like I said, I've been learning a lot of random things. Now I had somebody come over and the person did music, like played music around me, and I've been thinking, okay, I just want to learn how to play the piano. I don't know if I'm going to get very good at it, but at the same time, I'm very happy about how that is going, and I hope I can continue. But I'm not pressuring myself, even if I never continued. I'm really happy at the fact that okay, I learned something about the keys, I learned something about notes, I learned something that might help me in the conversation one day. So that's how I'm just taking life. The fact that I don't have a good interest span, I can still use that to my advantage. That's all I'm saying. And in order for me to maintain focus on one thing, I just want to surround myself with that particular thing and create less friction and make it a lot more easy for me to do those things. So I hope that was helpful. This is me talking about myself, but I'm hoping that this is something that can be helpful for you in creating and developing your own creative mindset, or developing your own creative stamina. So if this is helpful for you, make sure to like and subscribe. I would be leaving more stories like this. I'll be creating more like this, and I hope this is going to continue and this is going to grow into something that is more useful to a lot of more people. But in the meantime, please be the first to like and subscribe to my channel, and you'll probably be one of those people that's like, I knew him when he started. That's like the goal, but let's keep going. Thank you very much for listening. I'm May 4ID. Peace.